Staff, let's welcome in Logan Webb. Welcome in Lamont Wade Jr. Honored to have my guest on today, Kyle Harrison. Let's bring a friend of mine in, Pat Burrow. Pat, how are you today?
Bill, I'm doing great, man. Glad to be on with you.
Giants fans, this is Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
On your exclusive home of the San Francisco Giants. KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM. The sports leader.
The pitch going. Swing, he hits a high fly ball to shallow center. McLean is under it. The second baseman has it. And the ball game is over. And the Reds get their first win of the year. Real frustrating loss for the Giants, as they had their chances, but could score only the 2 runs.
Welcome into our very first extra inning post-game show with Bill Laskey for the 2025 San Francisco Giants baseball season. And we start off with a loss. That's a bummer right off the bat. The Giants, of course, on opening day, come back and take a game against the Cincinnati Reds 6-4. But today, they jumped out in front, had nice 2 runs going into the bottom of the third. And from there, they could not score anymore as they lose to the Cincinnati Reds 3-2 in Great America Ballpark for the second game of the season. A couple veterans really pitched well today. Justin Verlander, of course, the 42-year-old right-hander who signed a 1-year contract with the San Francisco Giants. I think all eyes were on him and what he was going to develop into, and I thought he threw the ball real well. On the other side, a 27-year-old, 6'6" lefty, Nick Lodolo, really pitched well after he gave up the runs in the third inning. So both starters really complemented each other in zeros across the board until couple late inning mistakes by the San Francisco Giants. So let's just break down a little bit about what happened with Justin Verlander coming out. What he did in the first inning, boy, he came out smoking. 14 pitches, 8 for strikes, punches out 2. Looked really sharp. Some fastballs, sliders, mixed in a couple change-ups. And I thought that really started the year off for him. Really comfortable on the mound. Patrick Bailey and he really complemented each other in a lot of different pitches. And you saw Justin shaking off some pitches before he even stepped on the mound. You know, Patrick Bailey's trying to get a rhythm with him, and I think that was one of the things through spring training, not using him a lot, but at the same time, getting to know what he wants to do in certain situations. And Justin, overall, really pitched well. 5 innings, giving up 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. And when you look at the 5 innings, 83 pitches, he threw 54 for strikes. I thought that was a major, major move by him, getting ahead of hitters. 11 first pitch strikes out of 22 hitters. And at the end in the 5th inning, I thought he struggled a little bit in trying to knock the guy out, really, was what happened in the 5th inning. And, you know, the home run ball in the 3rd inning by Matt McLean, a 1-1 slider. He got it up. Matt McLean didn't miss it. He hit that out to left center field for the first run by the Reds. In the 5th inning is when I really thought he struggled a little bit, but he got the first 2 hitters out on 3 pitches, and McLean again got to him in a 2-2 count. He went away a couple times to get ahead of the McLean, and then he dropped a couple off-speed pitches to make it 2-2. And then he tried to go fastball in, and McLean turned it on around the right center field, hit a nice double. Nice piece of hitting by Matt McLean. And Matt McLean was out all year last year with a shoulder injury, so that's going to complement up the middle with Ellie De La Cruz. Ellie comes up next, and here we go. Justin Verlander had him 0-2. Really couple fastballs right by him. Threw a changeup and then a curveball, and then he came back with a 2-2 curveball and left it up, and Ellie De La Cruz hit that ball between the first baseman and second baseman for a base hit. And those were the 2 runs that Justin Verlander gave up. At that time, he had first base open, and he really had Gavin Lux, who was the next hitter, the next hitter up, and he really controlled him with a ground ball to first and a strikeout, and he ended up getting a pop-up to short to end that 5 innings. Overall, really, really good pitches. When you look at the breakdown of what Justin Verlander threw, 83 pitches, He threw 43 for fastballs, and the fastball got up to 96. The average was 94. Spotting the ball inside to lefties, got the ball inside to righties, and he really just threw the ball good. Through 96, that's pretty good for Justin Verlander. 21 curve balls, he got it down to 12-6 curveball, off-sped it a couple times. The off-speed was at the highest was 81, and that's kind of where you want to have that spin go, the spin rate. And then he got some at slow at about 79 or 78. But that was a good pitch for him today. 10 sliders. He really was hitting the outside corner to right-handers. Really a tight slider today, about 89, 88 miles an hour. And that's kind of where you want that spin to go on the outside corner. And 9 changeups. The changeups he used at different parts of the game, times with different hitters when he got ahead. And that was about 83, 84 miles an hour. So when you look at what he did today, and I compliment him, he did pitch well, 83 pitches, 54 for strikes, as I said behind that. Spencer Bivens comes in, and he ended up really throwing good, struck out Candelaria on the first time up, and then Encarnacion Strand got him into a 2-2 count. And it looked like a fastball. They called it a cutter. But the guy got up. The ball was up, and he just got enough of it to push it down the right field line for the home run ball that really won the game for the Cincinnati Reds. Gave up a base hit to Espinal, and then he got out of it. But after that, boy, Randy Rodriguez and Lou Trevino just threw the ball extremely well, 6 up, 6 down, and Rodriguez punching out 2, and Trevino coming back after that injury a couple years ago, and he pitched well. So the bullpen, when you look at it, of course, the one ball Bivens made, his ball was up and a little out, but right down the right field line, and we all know Great America Ballpark, the ball flies out of there. On the offensive side, on the Giants, of course, it started with Wilmer Flores. Why not? He was the hero of the game on opening day with the home run, and he greeted Nick Lodolo. He had an 0-1 fastball, and he tried to throw a fastball in, and Flores hit it out to left field, and that was really the first run the Giants scored. In the third inning, Elliot Ramos led off with a double. Willie Adames hit a little weak ground ball to first, but it was good to get him over to third. And Jung-Hoo Lee ends up going 1-1 and gets an RBI base hit, and that was pretty much all the scoring the Giants could do. What killed the Giants here in the later part of the game, when you look at what they tried to do, they ended up getting 4 hits the latter part of the game, but they hit into 3 double play balls in the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning, a double play in each one of those innings. After one of the game, in the 8th inning was really when they had an opportunity. Fitzgerald got a nice base hit leading off the 8th, and Ramos hit into a 4 unassisted to first base double play. Willie Adames against a base hit on a big hopper. Really nothing after that. The 9th inning, Pagan came in, had a nice 1-2-3 inning. But we can dissect this a little bit more, look at this lineup. Of course, Luis Matos got a nice double on the right field. He got a nice base hit in the 7th inning in his first 2 plate appearances for the 2025 season. The left-hander, Nick Lodolo, really came on after the 3rd inning. When you look what he did, he got up 9 hitters and only gave up 1 hit in that, and he ended up getting a double play in the 6th inning. He went 6 innings, 5 hits, only giving up 2 earned runs, no walks, 1 K. And I loved what John Miller said at the end of their postgame show. 1 strikeout, that was it, what the Giants did. And if you remember what happened on Thursday, 17 strikeouts. So there was some adjustments made in putting the ball in play, and I think that was a big, big plus for the San Francisco Giants when you look at the hitting side. All right, I'm Bill Laskey. We're going to take a quick break. 808 KNBR. Got a lot to talk about today. And, of course, it's the first premiere show today of Extra Inning Postgame Show. Of course, we did spring training. We did about 10 of those, and love to talk to Giants fans, telling me about what you think about this team, the roster, and what you think the Giants will end up doing this year. Love to hear your predictions as we get going. So we'll take a quick break. I'm Bill Laskey. This is the Extra Inning Postgame Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
Your financial journey is unique, and Pettinelli Financial Partners is here to help you navigate it with confidence. So whether you're building your future or securing your retirement, their team provides lifelong personal guidance every step of the way. Start planning your financial journey today. Learn more at PettinelliFP.com. The financial consultants at Pettinelli Financial Partners are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratus Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratus Wealth Partners and Pettinelli Financial Partners are separate entities from LPL Financial.
You're listening to the former Giants righty. It's KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Heard on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR.
So he's done it before, and he drives one down the left field line deep. Back into the corner, way back there. Adios! Pelota! And he does it again. Just to the right of the 328 marker. Into the lower deck, down the left field line, and the Giants have a 1-0 lead. Wilmer homers for the second consecutive at-bat here at the great American ballpark.
He sure thinks it's great.
All right, welcome back to the Extra Inning post-game show with Bill Laskey, our first permanent show of the year. It didn't turn out well. It didn't turn out well as the Giants ended up losing 3-2 today at the Great America Ballpark. But what you saw today from Nick Lodolo, the big 6'6" lefty, really a lot of two-seam pitches, a sinker, and the numbers really show what he did. When you look at him, 11 ground ball outs by the San Francisco Giants, 2 fly balls. He kept the ball down. Of course, the home run by Wilmer Flores was the only ball that was really hit deep. And 17 first pitch strikes, 23 hitters. And I always talk about that as a pitcher getting ahead 0-1. That's what we talked about all spring training long. J.P. Martinez kept talking about that, as well as the Giants only walking 1 hitter. The Cincinnati Reds didn't walk anyone. So it was a good pitching duel. The Giants just could not manufacture any more runs after the 3rd inning when they took a lead 2-0, and the Reds chipped away on Justin Verlander in the bottom of the 3rd with a home run. In the 5th inning, a double and a base hit, and of course in the 6th inning was Spencer Bivens on the hill. Christian Encarnacion Strand, who really grew up here in Walnut Creek, hits a home run down the right field line to win it for the Reds. The rubber game tomorrow right here, 10:40's first pitch on KNBR. Robbie Ray will get his first start of the 2025 season against Nick Martinez. Of course, Nick Martinez last year was first year with the Reds. We remember him when he pitched for the San Diego Padres. All right, let's get to the calls. 808 KNBR. Let's talk a little Giants baseball. Let's go out to Berkeley and talk to Ben. Ben, you're on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate the call, Ben.
Oh, thank you for having me. You always do a great job. Marty's proud of you. And yeah, so are we all. You're the best.
Well, I appreciate that, Ben. Too bad the numbers didn't turn around today. Too bad the Giants lost on the first show, but at the same time, it was a good, quick game. 2 hours and 12 minutes in front of 40,000 fans. And the Giants just couldn't muster anything after that 3rd inning for another run.
Well, you're exactly right, and I think that's going to be a big thorn in our foot this year. Already, we've seen if it wasn't for Wilmer Flores, we haven't hit the ball at all.
You're absolutely
and
right.
The fact that we're already saying, we struck out 17 times the first game, and now they're saying just put the ball in play. Just putting the ball in play doesn't fix fundamental problems with the hitting. That just means you just don't want to strike out, and now you're not going to score because you don't have any power. Granted, hitting into those double plays, that's always been a Giants problem. One thing I'm really thinking about is Buster Posey might be in over his head, because I'm thinking, we signed Matt Chapman and Willie Adames. Now that's Buster Posey. He had his hands on that last year, and Buster Posey also had his hands on the draft. So we passed on Cam Smith, and we took James Tibbs. So now we don't have a third baseman that could be in the pros right now. He would be playing third base for the Giants. Rookie Cam Smith would be starting for the Giants right now. If we didn't need to sign Matt Chapman to that long deal, and we didn't need to sign a 28-year-old shortstop to a long deal either.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit here, Ben, because both of them have awesome playing defense. I think that's what you're looking at in Matt Chapman as well as Willie Adames, the best left side of the infield, I believe, in Major League Baseball. These guys are going to gel here. They're going to grow together. These two guys are leaders in that clubhouse, and that's what Buster Posey's looking for. Don't forget, over the last 6 years with Farhan Zaidi, there wasn't much leadership in that clubhouse. And with Buster in there, and I've known Buster for many years when he was a player. I used to cover them on, of course, NBC Bay Area and also KNBR. He was a quiet leader. He was a guy that was there when he had to push the right buttons, talk to certain players, talk to certain pitchers. And I think that's what he's looking at with Willie Adames. Matt Chapman did a little of that last year. So you got to look at a little bit more of the tangibles than just looking at offense and defense. It's about personalities and how you build a club.
True, but I mean, we're not going to win this year, and they're already 28, 29. They're older, so when are we going to win? 2 years from now? How old are they going to be then?
You got a team that's going to put some wins together. I don't brag about what spring training does. I'm not going to talk about it, but you did get a lot of confidence out of that clubhouse through spring training. You won 22 games. It's telling you they are battlers. We're going to find out how this team is. Don't get me right or wrong here. It's only 2 games into the season. But I do like what I see. I do like the nature of this team. I like Jung-Hoo Lee in center field, a healthy Jung-Hoo Lee. We're going to see what's going to happen in right field with Yastrzemski and Matos, with Ramos, a couple good games out of Ramos. So we got to stop the accelerator so fast here and pull it up a little bit, and let's see this team breathe. Let's see how this team does in the first 50 or 60 games before judgments are made. And I think that's what I'm going to tell you, Ben. Right now, let's just see how this team reacts. Let's see how this team does on offense, and I agree with you. I think 3 double play balls in this game hurt them. They did get some people on base. They didn't score after the second inning. But I also liked the life they bid in Thursday. They didn't give up in that game. And I'm sure you saw the same thing. That 9th inning, they didn't give up with 2 outs. Patrick Bailey with the base hit. Flores comes up, hits a slider out of the ballpark. Those are things that are going to build momentum. So, Ben, pull it back a little bit. We'll talk all year, but I appreciate your call today, really do. Let's go out to Rick in Hayward. Rick, you're on the Extra Inning postgame show. A tough loss today, a good win on Thursday. What'd you think so far?
Well, I'm very impressed by Verlander. And I'm starting on a positive, Bill.
That's why I kind of threw you in here. But no, I really agree with you. I think Verlander, I think everybody wanted to see him what he had. And I liked what his pitch mix was. I liked how Patrick Bailey and him worked. You saw him shake off a lot, but at the same time, Bailey's trying to find out, and you know this, Rick, Bailey's trying to find out what is his groove. What does he want to throw? A couple backdoor sliders on a couple lefties. I like that. The curveball, he hung a little bit on Ellie De La Cruz to get that base hit to right field. But overall, I thought he threw very well.
Yeah, I think 5 innings were basically all I can say that he was perfect. I mean, he's exactly as billed. 5 innings, he gave up 2 runs. He looked dominant at times. I think the umpire was squeezing both players.
Totally. Tight zone. I agree with it. That was a tight zone.
I was very surprised by some of the calls, and I could tell he was getting a little frustrated in the second inning. But other than that, he's exactly what he's billed as, which is good for the Giants because they're going to need that with our hitting. I mean, the team did not today work counts. They only averaged 13 and a half pitches per inning. I mean, Cincinnati only threw 122 pitches.
I saw that too, and I think Nick Lodolo was ahead of hitters like we were talking, 17 first pitch strikes out of 23 hitters. I think you had them jumping. But the opportunities, they did get opportunities later in this game. And, of course, when you see what the bullpens of the Reds did, they had double plays when they needed them. And the Giants knocked them, one inning after another, 6th, 7th, and 8th inning, double play. And, of course, Pagan comes in and blows up with 3 fly balls in the 9th. But that's what the Reds are going to throw out there, just like what the Giants did. The Giants threw 3 relievers. These guys are going to go one inning, and more. Each team is going to keep doing that.
Well, here's the thing, Bill. And this is where I'm going to get a little bit on Bob. All spring, all of us have been talking about is we're not going to win with home runs. We need to win with manufacturing runs, hit runs, stolen bases. All right, didn't happen today. I mean, it didn't happen. We had ample opportunities. We had Fitzgerald on first base. Fitzgerald, and he didn't steal second base. He didn't even attempt. So
that was in the 8th inning. Yeah, he led off that 8th inning with a base hit, and then Ramos hit a 1-1 pitch up the middle for a 4 unassisted double play. There wasn't even, Jung-Hoo Lee was the only one that got the stolen base in the game today. Right. And I would love to see, I'm right with you, Ben, Rick. I'm right with you about getting more opportunities on the base path. Trevino is their backup catcher. He's okay. He's not the best, but I would love to see a little bit more aggressiveness on the bases.
Well, I think now, especially today with Matos, Ramos, Fitzgerald, and Lee in the game, you've got horses out there that can run. Yeah. And you got to test these catchers. And it's been emphasized by everybody that this needs to happen. And these aren't practice games anymore. These games count. This game we lost today counts as much as a game in September. So
I agree. It's just and the same thing, Rick. We got to pump our brakes, so it's only a second game. I'm seeing a little negative of approach here, and I agree with some of the things like that. But I look at also what Nick Lodolo did. I mean, he's a sinker baller. They topped the ball so many times, 11 ground ball outs in 6 innings. This team has to hit holes. They got to try to get base hits and, like you said, hit and runs, move guys over. That's the only way this Giants team is going to establish runs, and they didn't do it after the 2nd inning, 3rd inning.
Well, that's my only point here. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just saying,
no, I mean, but the negative points are concerns. Let's not say they're negative. They're just concerns that we're talking about that we would like to see it improve on. I think that's what all Giants fans want to see. Improvement of what we saw in the past years. I like this team. I think they're going to do well. Tomorrow, the right-hander, Nick Martinez, is going to be in there. A lot of hitters have seen him. And we're going to see if they can rebound, if they can take this first series, go into Houston. It's a good start for them, Rick. But let's just find out what this team's going to be made of. I really believe Giants fans are going to support this team, as I am and you are. But we have to see how this thing's going to break out. But I think the positives today, as you talked about, Verlander, a home run by Flores. He looks healthy. And we just got to hopefully build on this and get some wins and win series. I think that's what all Giants fans want in the beginning of the year. But Rick, thanks again. It's always a pleasure talking to you as the season gets going. All right, let's go to my buddy out in Sacramento, Scarecrow. How are you on the 2025 season?
I am doing just fine, Bill. How you doing?
I'm doing good. First original show. I've done 10 pregame shows in spring training. It was a good spring training for the Giants, and they're trying to get this thing manufactured to get in the beginning of the season. Some changes, we know that, Scarecrow, but we need to figure out some offense, and I think all Giants fans want to see that.
Well, I'm a little bent with that one there when they had Fitzgerald on first. I don't know why they didn't send him. Yep. But here, let me get all the negative out of there. It's 2 out or two gone, 160 left to go, and we're still behind the damn Dodgers. Ha, 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 ha.
I'll start. If that's the only negative, I'll accept it.
All right. No, seriously, these guys are going to have to they're going to have to wear on each other a little bit, okay? Mm-hmm. It's one thing to play in Arizona. It's quite another to play, in the American small park. And I will guarantee you this, 2 runs is not going to do it for you in that ballpark. So, okay, I'll take my hat. I'll tip my hat to Lodolo. He pitched a heck of a good game.
After
and
the
we go get him
inning,
tomorrow.
He sure did. After the 3rd inning, he stymied him. And when you look at what he did, 6 ground balls, 7 ground ball outs right after that 3rd inning, and the sinker was working, had a nice little changeup that guys were jumping on. And he's a guy that they've known. This guy's been around, pitched last year, 2019 number 1 pick for the Reds. Big boy, 6'6". And they just couldn't get under the ball. Everything was topped, and he did exactly what he needed to do to get in the groove. And 11 ground ball outs, Scarecrow. That's not a good start when you're trying to get balls in play and try to move guys over.
Well, you also remember this, though. The Giants are, A, on the road. B, correct me if I'm wrong, but the sign of a good road trip is 500?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Win series is what I always say. Scarecrow, you hear me say this all the time. You go into a series, win series. 2 out of 3 is what you're trying to do in these series. And you go 500 when you get the 4-game series. That's what every manager is going to tell you. Win series. You win series, move to the next one. And if you can do that on the road, that's a big plus on the road.
No, I'm looking forward to seeing I like seeing Jung-Hoo Lee out in center field. He gives us, a little bit on the front of the order. And let's see how this thing goes. Let's see how the lineup goes. I would love to see them bet Bailey a little bit lower.
Bailey had a tough game today. Nothing really solid, hitting that 4-6-3 double play in the 7th inning after Matos gets that base hit. And, you're starting to think small ball here. It may be once in a while. You might have to bunt somebody over. And now it's the only 2nd game of the year. I wouldn't have minded seeing something like that today just to get somebody over instead of rolling into these double plays.
I would have. Well, it looked like Ellie De La Cruz had pitched himself a tent behind second base. So,
so did Matt McClain. McClain did the same thing. McClain was pulled over behind second base because Matos hit that ball up the middle that it looked like a base hit, and he was camped right there for a 4-3 out.
Yeah, sometimes they're there where you hit them.
Analytics, right, Scarecrow? It's the analytics. That's where that wins.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, if that were the case, then get up there with a laptop and see if you can hit a 90-mile-an-hour fastball with it.
Swing a little later and hit that hole, right? That's what they need to do.
Yeah, but just a little bit of an aside there. I did see the Dodger uniforms with the gold piping on them, and it's a little bit like a gold water closet in your bathroom. It looks really nice, except realize that it has the same function as the porcelain one.
I'll leave you with that one, Scarecrow. How's that? But hey, great call. It's always a pleasure to hear from you, and I know we will have more baseball conversations throughout the year, but I appreciate the call today. Let's go out to New York and talk to my buddy Mark. Mark, you're on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. How's it cooking out in New York?
Hey, Bill, I'm very you may as well know it. I'm very upset. I've watched 40 years of Giant games, and when a team hits into two double plays and they got their fastest runner at second base deep in the game, the only thing Melvin right could do is run Fitzgerald. I mean, it's common sense.
Well, I think that's what the first couple callers said, Mark. I think that was one of the things they talked about. And the same thing, you could have even started Chapman when he got a base hit in the sixth inning. Those are really your quickest runners. Jung-Hoo Lee got one. And, all through spring training, we've been hearing about how much speed these guys want to do. Get on the bases, be a little more aggressive. Trevino is the catcher. This is a guy that you could probably steal on. I'm right there. I think maybe one or two more attempts and stealing a bag would have helped.
But why did the manager put on the steal? I just don't get it. You got to play aggressive baseball if you want to win.
Oh, I agree with you. But, we're only in a second game, so we got to pump our brakes a little bit, Mark. And at the same time, I think we're going to see a little bit more of this as the season progresses. You got Fitzgerald, you got Ramos, Jung-Hoo Lee, Chapman. There are guys in this lineup that are going to be playing daily, and they're going to get the opportunities. Jung-Hoo Lee got one today, and let's see if this team can generate some more runners in scoring position. And I think that's what you're talking about, Mark.
That particular instance specifically was made for the guy to run. I mean,
the
best way to break up a double play is to run.
And you had the top of the order up. That's why you have Fitzgerald in that ninth position, so you can get some more speed from the position to come up to the top, 9-1-2. And that was one of the reasons why he's got Fitzgerald hitting in a ninth spot for his speed. So let's see if it changes, though, Mark. And I'm right with you. I think a couple more attempts would have helped.
Bill?
Go ahead.
I hate losing. It's not in my pedigree.
I'm right there with you, Mark. I mean, especially when you score the first two runs in the second and third inning and you don't do anything, even in getting a runner in position. There were only 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position, or 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position, something like that. But you got to get guys at second base, especially in a one-run game. But, Mark, thanks for the call. Looking forward to having more conversations with you as the year goes on. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We got a line of calls there. Stay right there. Got to take a quick one here. I'm Bill Laskey. This is the Extra Inning Postgame Show. We'll have more coming up right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
From the mound to the mic, this is KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Hear him by saying to your smart speaker, play KNBR.
Here's the pitch. Lee pulls it into right field, base hit. Man, he ripped a low liner, and that'll get the run home. Ramos scores. It's 2-0 Giants. Well, Jung-Hoo Lee just annihilated that ball. A low line drive. And he gets his first hit and his first run batted in. The fourth Giants hit of the game. It's 2-0 Giants. Good job.
All right, welcome back to the Extra Inning postgame show with Bill Laskey. And these callers right now, callers, it's only 2 games into the season here. Come on now, pump the brakes here. I know the Giants lost today 3-2. It was a very good game. We got to look at the positives of this game, and I think it's the first one is the 42-year-old right-hander, Justin Verlander. Some great comments from him coming out of some post-game remarks. He felt good, missed a couple pitches. I think overall what we saw out of him and velocity-wise, he threw a couple 96-mile-an-hour fastballs. If you look at what he's done in the past few years, he's way below that. So it's good to see his arm, its strength, especially the velocity, averaged at 94 today. And overall, he's 42 years old, and what he's going to give you on his 20th year in Major League Baseball, hopefully he can give you these 5-6 innings. That's what Bob Melvin's talking about with him, and he definitely did that today, going 5 innings, only giving up 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. And those numbers jump at me because he was ahead of hitters, 11 out of 22, and he used that backdoor slider on lefties for a couple strikeouts. I think the one pitch that he probably missed was the curveball he threw to Ellie De La Cruz, had him in a 2-2 spot, and he had missed on one, and he came back with it, and De La Cruz hit that slow base hit into right field after McClain hit that double. So, overall picture of what we saw to Justin Verlander today, I was very, very just happy to see him pitch with no pain, with a good flexibility of different pitches when you look at fastball, curveball, slider, and changeup, and it's a great start. Sure, the Giants jumped into a 2-0 lead, ended up coming out of 5 innings, 2-2, and Spencer Bivens gives up a home run and ended up losing 3-2. Opportunities, yes, in the latter part of the game, but 3 double play balls in the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning kind of just squashed anything the Giants could do. And sure enough, the Reds come in with Pagan in the 9th inning, gets up 3 pop-ups, and the game was over. We have to let this team breathe a little bit, Giants fans. This is only the 2nd game into the season. Yes, we'd love to see a little more aggressiveness from the runners on first base to steal, try to get into the position of scoring runs. They didn't do that today, as we heard from a couple callers already. So let's try to change this and look at the outlook of what we're going to see tomorrow. Robbie Ray with his new changeup on the hill tomorrow against Nick Martinez, first pitch right here at 10:40. All right, let's go back to the phone calls. Let's go to Kevin in San Mateo. Kevin, you're on the Extra Inning postgame show. How are you doing today?
Hey, Bill. So just because they didn't steal doesn't mean, if they would have stole, they might have been out. I
think what we're talking about, Kevin, is being a little more aggressive on the bases. We've heard this all spring. They've done that with Fitzgerald getting a base hit. I thought that was a possibility of him trying to go. He's the fastest guy. That's why he's in the 9 spot. So you get him on base, you got 9-1-2. Chapman getting on base with 1 out. Opportunities of the 2 fastest guys, and there was no attempts. Jung-Hoo Lee ended up getting a stolen base. What I'm saying is I think this team has to be a little more aggressive with some of their faster runners.
Bill, by the way, I had some Lenardi's soup. It was fabulous.
It's quite simply the best, right?
with a tomato based, But anyway, I thought that the Adames signing, forget about what he's done today and Thursday. He's hitting 234 total in the last 3 years. I thought that was a horrible signing. Bill, do you
let me ask you, Kevin. Let me throw this to you, Kevin. They didn't have a shortstop. They had no shortstop. Luciano's not your shortstop. Fitzgerald's not your shortstop. They needed to go get the best shortstop out there, and Willie Adames was that guy. Buster Posey
What's
couldn't
wrong
go
with
get Kim from
Luciano?
San Diego, so that was a good signing. I'm happy with that signing. He had over 20 stolen bases, hits home runs. He's a leader on this club. We're seeing this. So let this guy gel with this team a little bit, Kevin. You got to let this team breathe a little bit.
Well, I mean, but the home runs are going to go down because he's hitting over here.
No, I disagree with you. You're going to see him a little more output with the home run ball. He's hitting in a 2 spot. He's going to get guys on, get him over. We just have to let him breathe. I mean, I'm continuing saying this today because these Giant fans are coming at me with such negative responses and replies. This is the second game of the year. They win the first one 6-4. They lose this one 3-2. Let's just see if they can come back tomorrow, win a series, go into Houston, come home and pump it and see what they can do against Seattle and Cincinnati next week. So Verlander pitches today. He'll get the home opener. Tomorrow, Robbie Ray's on the hill. And we go with the orange and black attack a little bit better.
But, Bill, look, what would you think if the Giants would rebuild? They're 50-1 to win the World Series. Don't you think it's time
I don't
for
think
them to
rebuild is anything that Buster Posey's talking about. I think you heard that from Farhan for the last 6 years. Buster Posey is looking at players that want to win, and they want to have confidence in this clubhouse. They had a great spring training. I'm not looking at 22 wins. This is what counts. The season counts now. So let's see what this team can do, Kevin. Let's build off the positives and continue to move on, and that's what we'll see tomorrow. Thanks for the call, Kevin. Let's go out to Aptos and talk to Slinks. Slinks, you're on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, appreciate the call.
I was just going to respond real quick to that previous caller, and then I'll make my point. I think that you look at the years the Giants won the World Series, they weren't expected to win anything. They weren't. Their hitting was bad. Their hitting was always bad. Like during the season of the World Series when they won, they'd have they'd go on streaks where they'd win and they'd get. I don't know if you agree with this or not, but their hitting was their biggest hardship, it seemed, in a lot of their World
Pitching
Series
and
runs.
defense, right, Slinks? That's what everybody talks about. Pitching,
Yeah,
good
so
starting pitching, good bullpen, good closer, good defense. That's the first two things that happen in any team that wants to win big teams. Sure, offense is a huge part of it. We see that the home run ball, and those are things that are going to generate as the season goes on. I saw a lot of positives out of spring training, Slinks, and I think you did too. So we're into the first 2 games, and they win the first game. They come back, and today they got ahead. They just couldn't do anything in the latter part of the game.
Okay, I'll make my point now. I was going to say, you look at Thursday. They have this exciting win. They come from behind. They win. That was like a 2010 Giant team where they'd come back from and win it and shut them down and win the game in the final seconds, I guess you could say. And then that's awesome. But then they got to sit for 2 days and go, oh, my God, we just won. I think if they play the next day, they beat the hell out of the Reds. That's the
momentum.
problem is they went that day. Maybe you don't agree with that, but I think
I do. But momentum is momentum. I mean, sure, Bob Melvin on the show today was saying the exact same thing. He goes, yeah, you got the momentum. You come right back in the locker room. You got a little momentum to go after him. But you know what? He said it would. What if we would have lost the first game and we would have had to sit there for 24 hours dwelling on a loss, but they didn't. So the off day was more enjoyable for them. Today, they got ahead 2-0. They just couldn't add on, Slinks, and I think that's what he's probably looking at this club in the latter part of the game. You got to somehow get on and get people in scoring position. They didn't do that. 3 double plays wiped that out for them.
I predict tomorrow it's going to take 8 runs to win. I think the Reds and the Giants are going to have a hitting streak tomorrow. So hopefully the Giants hit really well because I think the Reds are going to come
Slinks.
out.
Think positive. Think positive, Slinks. All right, buddy. Let's go out to appreciate the call. Let's go out to Sacramento and talk to Nick. Nick, you're on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. Let me hear some positive news here, Nick.
Bill, let's start out by just saying we're 2 games into it, and you could, what do you expect? Here's the thing that I look at. If all these people saying Bob Melvin should have sent him, you know what? Maybe they're right, but it's easy to manage from a TV, and you never know. Maybe Fitzgerald just didn't have a good eye on it. Maybe something was wrong. And you know what? Look at the positives. The games have been close. I mean, how many games did you see last year and I know we're only 2 games in, so even that's hard to tell. But how many games did you see where the games were blowouts where we weren't on the good side of that? This is great
it
baseball.
works both ways too, Nick. It works
Right.
both ways. You get the 1-run losses like today, and then you get the blowout games. So, today was just a good pitching duel. We don't tip your hat to the opposing pitcher, but Nick Lodolo went up there after the second and third inning when he gave up to 2 runs. He goes out there and gets the next 7 guys out with ground balls. He's a sinker-type pitcher. This is what people don't understand. A guy did exactly what he does to be the big leaguer. 6'6", left-hander, turning the ball over, good slider, and he got right back into the rhythm of the game. Ground ball outs, 11 of them. So I start thinking of how the hitters have to go against that, go the opposite way. Maybe lay a bunt down once in a while. We have to get these runners on the bag and get them over in scoring position. They just didn't do it today.
And, I'm going to say one more thing on the Tyler Fitzgerald not stealing second. I mean, maybe there's a reason why they didn't send him. Or you know what? Maybe Bob Melvin is human and just made a mistake and didn't send him.
Things happen. Yep, but we just need to see a little more aggressiveness. Yep, you're right,
no,
Nick.
I agree. But
it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, right, Nick? If he goes and he gets thrown out, he's too aggressive. But if he doesn't go and he hits into a double play, 4 unassisted to 3 double play. So we're going to see a little bit more. I really believe this. This is what Matt Williams says. This is what Matt Chapman says in some of the interviews I did through spring training. We're going to be more aggressive on the bases. Today, they didn't. They only had 1 stolen base. Tomorrow with Nick Martinez, you're going to see a whole nother left-handed lineup in there for the Giants. And let's see what they can do. But it's a rubber match of a 3-game series to open it up. Win the series, move on to Houston. But thanks for the call, Nick. Really appreciate your time. Let's go out to Santa Rosa and talk to Ramon. Ramon, you're on the Giants post-game show, Extra Innings. How you doing today?
How are you today, sir?
There you go. I love that voice, Ramon. Talk to me, my friend.
I worry about this team, 17 is
already, Ramon? Ramon, you're 2 games into it, my friend. Come on. Be
okay.
Positive here, Ramon.
I didn't know they were facing Pedro Martinez today. I mean, who was that guy? The only thing that I worry about this team, they have to send Fitzgerald to second base. They have to.
Why do you say that?
You got to stay away from the double play.
I understand. That's the conversation we're having right now. A lot of callers think Fitzgerald should have left. I agree. He's the 9th hitter. That's why he's batting 9th, to get the 9th one over, and he leads off the 8th inning with a nice base hit, and he never even made an attempt. And I'm agreeing with you about that, Ramon. But let's talk about all these double plays they hit into. They hit into 3 double plays in the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning, and that just kind of squashed any type of opportunities for him.
Exactly. They had to put the ball on play. I'm watching the game with 20 people in my house. Everybody agreed that they were going to send Fitzgerald.
I thought so too.
From the double play.
Especially leading off that inning, and you're counting out outs here. You lead off the top of the 8th inning with a base hit, and you're down by 1 run. You have to try to get him in scoring position. And what did Ramos do? Hits one right up the middle to a 4 unassisted to 3 double play. And that's what we saw today, all in those 3 innings. But we can't just continue to keep pounding this into this. This is the 2nd game of the year, Ramon. Yesterday and Thursday, they came back and won that game. Today, they had a nice 2-0 lead. Verlander goes 5 innings. He comes out, only giving up 2. The bullpen gives up 1 run, a home run. Bivens gives up a home run. They have to score more. And I think that's what all Giants fans are looking for as we move into this new season.
So how come the teams are afraid, Bill? I'm 54 years old, I'm a little bit old, How come the teams are afraid to bunt?
Well, I think we're going to see a little bit more of that. I think we're going to have to see a little bit more sack bunts. I think a little more hit and runs. But, by Buster Posey being in the position he is and Bob Melvin being that manager that he wants to be, I want to see that too. They did it in spring training. They did a lot of 1st to 3rd with base hits. They did a lot of things moving guys around the bases. just the Giant fans got to pump the brakes a little bit here. It's only the second game of the season. So let's see how they overcome this loss today with tomorrow, and it's going to be a day game. So let's see if they can jump on Nick Martinez a little bit in the front part of this game and get a nice lead.
You know what? The only way I don't see Fitzgerald, if we have Ivan Rodriguez or Yadier Molina behind the plate. That's the only way, or Johnny Bain.
Well, I knew you'd love to bring those names up, Ramon, and I appreciate the call today, and thanks for your time. It's always good talking to you. Giants lose today in a heartbreaker 3-2, and I think a lot of Giants fans are looking at this like it's 160 games in already, and we've only played 2 games, Giants fans. We've seen a lot of positives from this team in the first 2 games. Let's stick with a little bit more positivity as we continue moving on here. But you know what? Sure, we didn't get a stolen base. Sure, we didn't get a guy over. Sure, we didn't score after the second inning. It's just the points of the game that you have to look at. And some of the things that happened today, you got to tip your hat a little bit on the opposition of the pitcher. They got the ground ball outs when they needed to. They got the rollovers when they needed to. They got the people out. When you look on our side, what the Giants did, the only guy that really gave up a home run was Spencer Bivens out of the bullpen. Other than that, Randy Rodriguez had a nice 1-2-3 inning with 2 punch-outs. Lou Trevino, coming back from an injury a couple years ago, he goes out and has a 1-2-3 inning. The Giants just couldn't score one more run to tie it and possibly win it. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Got a lot of phone calls coming in today. Love it. 808 KNBR. Let's talk more about this Giants team. Let's go out to Rockland and talk to Jason. Jason, you're on the Extra Innings post-game show. What do you have for me today?
What's up, Bill? How are you, man?
Well, I'm good, but I think all Giants fans need to pump the brakes a little bit, and I keep saying this over and over in this last hour, and there's a lot of positive things going on with this team. They've only lost 1 game, and there was some situations in this game that they could have maybe stole some, get a guy in a scoring position. They didn't do it, and the double play pretty much squashed them.
I totally agree with you, and it was 3 or 4 callers ago regarding Willy Adames, and one thing that I've just kind of noticed watching the TV broadcast, and it's something that I haven't seen in 3 or 4 years, this guy is a leader, man.
I agree.
Is incredible. I saw him on the TV broadcast, him and Verlander having a conversation after Baumel pulls Verlander.
Yep. I saw the same thing in the dugout. They were talking, chip-chatting, and I think
it gave me goosebumps, Bill.
Yeah.
I know we haven't had this in a while.
And I loved when you saw Patrick Bailey hugging Verlander. That's a great start for Patrick Bailey to get that faith from a 42-year-old pitcher that's in his 20th year, to have that guy go, man, you battled today on the hill. A couple pitches missed and a base hit by De La Cruz. That was it. I mean, he had 2 quick outs, and he gave up a double and a base hit and a rollover. And I'm sure he's going to look at that going, I only threw 3 pitches, got 2 outs. And Matt McClain's a tough hitter. He's a good little player.
He's a really, really, really good player. McClain's a really good player. And we've been rumored and been in the mix on McClain for the last 2 years trying to get him.
Well, he got injured last year. He was out all last year with shoulder surgery.
Well, the year before we were in the mix.
He was a number 1 pick by the Reds, and he's a gamer. He's a scrapper. I talked to Jeff Brantley. We'll hear that interview later in the show, and we ended up talking about Matt McClain and what he brings to their team. And he said, Bill, he's just a gamer. He wants to play every day, and he wants to win every day. And you got a young kid like that. I think he went to UCLA, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're
right. But at
right.
the same time, he's that type of leader, and he's hitting second. He has a home run, goes the opposite way on a fastball, in on his hands, and goes to right center field. And it was a great at-bat. It was a great approach that he did off Verlander. Verlander was going away, and he tried to go in on him. And it was a nice at-bat, and you just go, wow, that's a great at-bat. And that's the kind of energy Matt McClain's going to bring to this Reds team.
Tell me what you think about the change-up call to De La Cruz. I think if you stay firm with him right there, in on the hands, because he just basically flipped that ball to the right side.
Yeah, it was a
He's that
curveball.
good.
That was a slow curveball. I agree with you. He was blowing fastballs away on him on his waist, and then he threw that little slider on the outside corner, punched him out in the first inning, standing there after really it was a great battle, 7-pitch battle, and he finally got him on a 3-2 pitch on the outside corner. I felt the same way. He tried one before that, and then he went back to it. And just like you said, Jason, he just got enough of it to pull it in that hole, and that ended up tying the game.
Yeah, I think the vibes are really, really awesome. Adames is such a stud. I mean, just as a
I
human
like him.
being.
He's going to
And I
do
think-
well. I do.
And Cincinnati's a good club. I mean, they're a good club. They got good players. So let's just go out and see what tomorrow brings, and let's stay with.
And moving
Willie,
to
man.
Houston,
He's
you know, the whole key is, I keep saying this, I've said it for 6 years on this show, you win series. And if you can win a series on the road, especially at the Great America Ballpark, 40,000 today, 45,000 the other day. I mean, this is where you come in there and play, and you try to steal that last game. And I'm very impressed with Robbie Ray, what he's done in the spring, and I'm really anxious to see him pitch tomorrow.
Yeah, I totally agree, and thanks for having me on, Bill. I appreciate it, and I'm gonna keep the good vibes going because I think it's gonna be a special club, and they're gonna shock a lot of people.
I agree totally, Jason. Thanks for the call. Appreciate your positive thoughts too, and let's just hope that this team comes around. And it's only 2 games in, and we'll see how they battle tomorrow against Nick Martinez. And we all remember Nick Martinez from San Diego. Of course, last year he was first year with the Reds. He was in 42 games with the Reds, 16 of them as a starter, 10-7, 3.10 earned run average. Punches out so many hitters, 142 innings. But listen to this, Giants fans, 116 strikeouts. And here's the number that's going to be an eye-opener, 18 walks. He's around the plate. Got to be aggressive at him, and he's got some nasty stuff. And, you know, we'll see what the Giants can do. The left-handed lineup will be in there tomorrow. Lamont Wade Jr. will be back in there, and I think that's a big, big plus if he can turn it around. Got some callers waiting, still be on the hold. 808 KNBR, got a couple more callers on hold here we'll get to, but this is the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. My name is Bill Laskey. We'll have more coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
It sound right, boys.
Your financial journey is unique, and Pettinelli Financial Partners is here to help you navigate it with confidence. So whether you're building your future or securing your retirement, their team provides lifelong personal guidance every step of the way. Start planning your financial journey today. Learn more at PettinelliFP.com. The financial consultants at Pettinelli Financial Partners are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratus Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratus Wealth Partners and Pettinelli Financial Partners are separate entities from LPL Financial.
It sound right, boy. It sound right, boy.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with former Giants right-hander Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Hear him on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR. Play KNBR.
Full count to Dela Cruz. Gavin Lux, another left-handed hitter on deck. 3-2 pitch. Curveball right down the middle. Strike three called. That frozen. And Verlander has had a great curveball, one of the best for a long, long time.
All right, back on the extra inning post-game show. Giants lose a tough one in Cincinnati today, 3-2. 2 runs, 8 hits for the Giants. 3 runs, 8 hits for the Cincinnati Reds. Giants hit a home run by Wilmer Flores, and the Reds hit 2 of them, one by Matt McClain and the other by Christian Encarnacion Strand. Walnut Creek, man. He grew up in Walnut Creek. Pretty cool. Tomorrow, 1:40 first pitch, or 10:40, 10:40 a.m. in Pacific Coast time. And Robbie Ray takes the hill. Of course, last year he was 3-2 with a 4.7 earned run average, going 30 2/3 innings, giving up 20 hits, 43 strikeouts, 15 walks. Had a great spring training for the Giants, and he's going to be on the hill, try to get this third game, the rubber match of the series, against Nick Martinez, a right-hander for the Cincinnati Reds. All right, let's get back to the phone lines. Let's go out to Berkeley and talk to Andrea. Andrea, you're on Extra Innings. How are you?
Good. Happy new baseball season, and happy new moon solar eclipse.
There you go. Let's make sure this is a positive call, right, Andrea?
Right on. Absolutely. Taking a page out of your playbook and being positive. And, you know, we can still bask in the glow of yesterday's win. That was really something.
That was a fun game on Thursday, opening day, coming back to win that game 6-4. Today they jumped into a 2-0 hole or a 2-0 lead, and they just couldn't get another run across. And the Reds scrapped back, got a couple home runs, and they pulled this game out. But one more tomorrow before they move on to Houston.
Right, and, you know, quite the timing from the baseball gods and goddesses for Buster Posey's Aries birthday yesterday, March 27th.
That's right. That's right.
And
he's
Bob
still a
Melvin.
youngster, right, Andrea?
Oh, you better believe it. 1987? Yeah. Still a
well,
youngster.
you know, things are changing. Justin Verlander, I thought he threw really well today.
Yeah,
I was very impressed. His composure, a tight zone behind the plate. Never really looked twice in there. You know, he just got the ball back and went back out there. And it worked on both sides. The plate was pretty tight today, and I thought he pitched extremely well for his first time in a Giants uniform.
Yeah, I think he did. You know, he's kind of hard on himself on the interview after I was watching it. And, you know, he's February 20th, 1983. And I just did a podcast on him, and I shared it. There'll be some ups and downs, but remember what I said earlier, the Giants got an extra pitching coach out of the deal.
That's right.
So he's
We've been talking about that all spring training, and he definitely is. And, you know, the call earlier talked about Willie Adames going up to him and patting him on the back, and then you saw him talking to Patrick Bailey. This team has generated a lot of good energy with him. And today, you know, going out there the first time out, we'll see him on opening day next Friday if all the numbers come out and the probables come out. So that'll be really pumping him up for the home opener against Seattle.
Yes, looking forward to that. And yesterday was quite magical. And Wilmer Flores, how's that for a dramatic Leo?
Yeah, got another one today in his first at-bat. So got 2 home runs, and Bob Melvin was talking on his pregame show about being healthy. His legs are healthy, and I think that makes him so much better as a hitter. And, of course, hitters need those legs to propel, and he's had a nice shot. Played first base very well today for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's August 6, 1991, and, dramatic Leo and very king of the zodiac, very flamboyant and confident and radiant. And frankly, I remember, obviously, when he was with the Mets, and there was a rumor he was going to be traded, and he started crying on the field.
Yeah, that was a tough time for him. Sure, I remember that really well. And he was a young kid, and now he's come over here and really is showing a great leadership in the locker room to the Latin players, as well as just overall. He's a positive type player. But, Andrea, thanks for the call. I appreciate your time. Let's go to Washington and talk to Caden. Caden, you're on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. How are you, my friend?
Hello.
How you doing, Caden?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing good. A quick loss today, 3-2. This thing couldn't generate anything after the third inning. But, Caden, what do you think of this team so far?
I think that you can't really judge them after a few games. But
thank you.
I'd like to back you up on that. But I'm just calling to disagree with one of the callers from earlier saying we didn't need Matt Chapman. Sorry. I think that he is a very good player and he's a good addition to the Giants.
Yeah, and he's a good leader in that clubhouse. I talked about him being a leader. This is what Buster Posey wants, and he ended up getting a deal done at the end of last year. He brought in Willie Adames. And what I like of what Buster Posey's done, he just doesn't just take him from the player, he takes him from the personality. And he's trying to build a team from within. And what he did with Chapman and bringing Adames in, I'm right there with you, Caden. I think these are 2 good players, and they're going to build some confidence, and they're going to build this team. You watch this team and the character that they both will bring.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, Caden, what else do you think about this team? Do you like this team? What do you think they really need to do to kind of get more runs across the plate?
I mean, I really like this team because I'm from California, but I think they are a very good team, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, good, Caden. Well, you make sure you call in more often. I love to talk to the kids, and I know you love the game of baseball, and I'm so glad you pumped that fist and talked about Chapman and Adames, and I think you're right, Caden, and let's see how they make this team better. But thanks for the call. I appreciate your time today. Let's go out to San Jose and talk to Skins. Skins, you're on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. A tough loss by the Giants today, 3-2. We'll see if they can win that rubber match tomorrow with Robbie Ray.
Oh, no problem on Robbie Ray. He's going to dominate, and because it's been a while for him since he was a Cy Young Award winner, and I know he's jacked and ready to go. So
well, the new changeup too, Skins. He's got the new changeup throwing, and I think that's going to really make that arsenal of him throwing that high velocity fastball with a breaking ball, and the changeup's definitely worked through the spring. I like what I see out of him.
Oh yeah, I just not worried about Robbie Ray at all. This is a comeback for him, and he's gonna do it. There's no doubt about it in my mind. But we'll see. It's a game. Cincinnati's good. We got to play the game first. So,
what'd you think of Justin Verlander today, Skins?
I actually don't get to watch the games, unfortunately.
Okay.
I have not gotten my package together.
Did you get to listen to it on KNBR today?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely.
John Miller, Dave Fleming with the call, and a good game and a lot of action pack, and they just couldn't get that run across after the third inning. The Reds, really, their bullpen dominated, and Nick Lodolo really pitched well after that third inning. When I keep talking about, when you look at what his line is after the fact, the next 9 guys up, he gave up 1 base hit and turned it into a double play, and he got through 6 innings.
Yeah, you were right about that guy. I pretty much always agree with you. 6'6", dominated.
Yep,
You
big
got to give
lefty.
him credit.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're watching the opposition and you're seeing guys rolling over balls, and I know what a sinker-type pitcher is. That's what I used to be, a sinker-slider. And you're going to keep throwing it. You're going to keep throwing that same pitch. And you know how many ground balls went to shortstop? 4 of them out of the 6 outs, and the other one went to second base for a couple times. So he was getting them to roll over, and he's going to continue to throw that pitch until you change.
Yeah, he's throwing for those ground balls. But, Bill, the reason I called, and I hope I don't get into the weeds here too much, but I got to talk to you about it because you're a pitcher and I'm an old catcher, and I wanted to know how you throw your slider. And I am of the opinion when a right-hander throws a slider to a left-hander, that ball breaks in on him. And when he throws a right-hander throws to a right-handed hitter, that ball is breaking away from him.
Sure does.
And
I think the biggest thing, Skins, when you're throwing it to a left-hander, it's got to be a back foot slider, meaning the left-hand hitter's there, it's his left foot. So you're trying to throw that slider down into the break where it goes into his left foot, because if it breaks sharp like a slider's supposed to, they'll swing over it or they'll jam themselves with it. You go to a right-hander, you want to throw that ball off the plate a little bit so you can kind of inch it off. I threw a slider where I could literally know exactly if I want to go off the black of the plate for a strike or get them to see if they can swing off the plate with it. A slider's a real tough pitch. It's like opening a doorknob. If you can think about opening a doorknob, that little twist at the end that's what you get that slider off of. So you're thinking fastball the whole way. Of course, you're gripping it differently, but at that last second, if you can twist it and turn it, or that thumb comes up and that pinky goes down, that's where you get that break from a slider.
God, I would love to watch a guy who knew how to throw a great slider throw a slider. In my day, it was just fastball, curveball, changeup. Sometimes we threw a thing called a screwball.
Yeah.
And to me, a screwball today, I don't know, they never say that, is a cutter. Now,
Well, it all depends. If you turn that hand in, you remember Fernando Valenzuela had the best one where guys would see the back of his hand because he threw the screwball that much, where his hand kind of moved over and the ball just kind of cut in. It's a tough pitch. It's tough on your arm. And going back to the slider, it's a very tough pitch if I'm a right-handed pitcher, on your elbow. If you don't throw it right, that elbow can be inflamed so quickly. And you got to understand how you turn and twist it, because a lot of times, Skins, it turns into a slurve. And you know what I'm talking about, a slurve from the right-hand side to the left hand, and it stays in that same plateau where a good slider cuts from like 2 o'clock to 7 o'clock if you're looking at a clock. That's kind of the move of a slider you want, that down and away tight spin. Sergio Romo with the tight spin, the no-dot slider. Those were so impeccable when he threw them, and hitters just couldn't pick up the spin.
And he didn't throw them that hard.
No, and it's all spin, and it's about location. And he could get you to go after it, switch and try to get it out, and they'd swing over it, or most of the time ground ball to second base, because they're trying to get ahead of it and they knock a ground ball into it, and that's what you're looking for, is a ground ball out.
Bill, I got one more before I know you probably want to run.
Got some more callers? Yep, got some more callers coming. Go ahead.
One question. Lincecum, who dominated baseball as a pitcher for about 4 years, he used to throw a pitch that looked like a fastball, and then about the last 12 feet before it crossed home plate, it just dove down. It always looked.
Yeah.
Was it a change?
Total
No,
change
that
up.
doesn't make any sense.
Yep, total changeup, and that's what makes a good pitcher. The same motion, same arm slot, and you choke the baseball back in your hand. You're trying to feel the seams of the baseball come off your fingertips, so you get a back spin on it, sort of like a parachute when the ball. If you got a good changeup, it looks like a parachute that cuts the ball 2 to 3 feet in front of the plate. That's what he was so good at. Jeremy Affeldt had a good one. Some of the great changeup. Pedro Martinez had a good one. You start looking at all the top pitchers, you got to have a changeup. And I always look at a 3-pitch mix, and you have to throw something off speed. You make that fastball look faster, Skins.
And it always looked like a strike and it never, ever was.
Yep,
They
I know.
swung through it. He just
Well, Skins, I got to hit it, man. Let's talk some more baseball. We'll talk pitching down the road, but I appreciate your time today. I appreciate the call. Let's go to Orlando and talk to Joshua. Or how are you doing today, Joshua?
Excellent. Good to talk to you in 2025. I want to say that bringing in Verlander and Robbie Ray a season and a half ago reminds me of the good old days when Tim Hudson came in and Jake Peavy came in. And these guys are veterans. It reminds me of the smart thinking that the baseball operations were doing 10 years ago or 11 years ago.
Yeah, especially when you look how young this rotation would be if they weren't here. You'd have Birdsong, you'd have Roop. Who knows? You may even have Mason Black. There's so many different names. Harrison's another one. You got to have some stability in this rotation. And I think that's why Buster went after Verlander, an experienced pitcher, a healthy Justin Verlander, and his experience in teaching. We talk about being another pitching coach. These are all pluses that Buster's trying to bring into this rotation and pitching staff.
Yeah, and that first inning that Verlander went out there, I know the young guys in rotation were taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
he pitched well. I mean, when you're looking at what he did, how about the first hitter, Fried? He went 3-0 on him in the first 3 pitches he threw, and he comes back the next 4 pitches and punches them out. The next guy, McClain, hits the first pitch, fly ball, and he gets Dela Cruz in a 3-2 pitch, and he throws a slider on the outside corner and freezes him, and he punches out 2 in that first inning, and he never unraveled. That's what I loved about him. Nothing bothered him by going 3-0, coming back. The zone was tight. We have talked about it. That's what an experienced pitcher is. That's what a Hall of Fame pitcher is. That's what a 3-time Cy Young pitcher does.
Yeah, it's just excellent results on the first day. But going back to what a few callers were talking about with the hitting and everything, the Giants are still finding themselves. They're going to have to compete with the Diamondbacks and Padres. It's the Dodgers is always on top because they get to play games in Tokyo before everyone else, so they're already up 4-0.
Well, you got 13. You got 13 opportunities to go after the Dodgers. That's what's going to be my pet peeve when you start looking at Dodgers, Padres, Diamondbacks, Rockies. You got 13 games that you go after them. And I think that's how Bob Melvin's looking at it. I love what Bob Melvin talks about with the National League West, one of the best divisions in baseball. But you can't worry about the other teams. You got to worry about each game. And I've always said this, and you know, Joshua, you know me, you win series. Tomorrow's a big game. You get out of Cincinnati winning that series, that's a big, big positive mojo to go into Houston.
I agree. The Giants just got to use their veterans in that lineup and just go into Houston confident. And it's just going to take a lot of meshing between the lineup. When they had Wilmer
we'll find out what happens, Joshua. Yep. Houston's another animal, but you got to get through Cincinnati tomorrow. And I think with Robbie Ray on the hill, get him some early runs and let him put some zeros on the board and compete like we know he can. But thanks for the call. Love talking to you, Joshua. Chime in during the season. Love to have you. Let's go out to Sonora and talk to Tim. Tim, you're on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. Tough loss today in Cincinnati at the Great America Ballpark, losing 3-2. What'd you think of the 2-game series so far?
I think they're right on par there, playing 500 baseball, because I think the goal in baseball is to play 500 on the road and play 667 at home.
I agree with you. That's so true.
If you do that, you win 94, 95 games. The ultimate objective isn't to win the World Series in the second game. You're still figuring out what team you have.
Mm-hmm.
You shoot for 500 on the road. They play 3-game series. They take 2 out of 3 here. They play the next game, 3-game series. They win 1 out of 2, 500. Successful road trip.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, you win series. You just said it too, Tim. You go out and try to win series. Tomorrow is that 3rd game, the rubber match. Get in here. You know a lot about Nick Martinez. I threw his numbers out there last year. 18 walks only. He's going to be around the plate, be aggressive early in the count, and get some people in runners. Get these runners in scoring position and do some damage.
And another point about being more aggressive on bases, that doesn't always mean stealing bases. That means taking a opportunities of balls hitting gaps.
Yeah.
You got a left-handed right fielder, and he fields a ball going into the gap, into right center. You got to run on first. You got to send that guy to third because that's a tough throw for a left-hander running away from the base.
100% agreed, Tim. You're watching the game correctly, and you're understanding and you're evaluating the game. That's some good intake right there, and you're so right about trying to get runners on. You get a lead, you steal them. You got a couple guys in this lineup that have to get on the bases and go and give them opportunities.
Yeah, but Bill, sometimes you run on counts. Maybe I don't know what the counts are anymore. Sometimes you run on 2 strikes because you give your batter a chance to pick out a pitch and hit. You don't.
Well,
want
a
to
lot
take
of
the
times
bat
when
out of
and if you're ahead 2-0 or 2-1, you don't want to take the bat away from them either. So you have to look at what the count is.
Exactly, and so don't get on them for not stealing yet.
Well, I look at it like a couple callers, Tim. When you got 9-1-2, that's what Fitzgerald's in that 9-hole for, to get on base and get in the scoring position. And that's what I think callers were looking at today, of him getting that leadoff hit in the 8th inning and getting him on second base with an opportunity. If that happened, Willie Adames strings him in with that big bouncer. It didn't happen. They hit into a double play, and it killed him that inning, because if somehow, some way they get him over, get him in, that might have tied the game, but it just didn't happen today.
And a couple other points, instead of hitting runs, with these shifts and stuff that they're putting on and stuff like this, whatever happened to the drag bunt?
What happened with a bunt? How about not even a drag bunt? How about just a basic bunt? Get him over.
But a drag bunt, you could kind of put the guy in motion. You don't have to. He has to make sure on first base that the ball is down. But at least there's a potential there for a steal. You don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think you're going to see a little bit from Jung-Hoo Lee. I think he'll drop some bunts down. I think Fitzgerald will also. You'll get some guys dropping bunts down and trying to get on base one way or another. But, Tim, great call. Great analyzing the game today. Great stuff right there. And let's continue to talk baseball as the season goes on. But I appreciate your time today. All right, that was great calls today. Great energy, and we're trying to change it around here. Giants lose today 3-2. They're 1-1 on the season. Tomorrow, the rubber matchup against Robbie Ray against Nick Martinez. Coming up next, I talk to the Cowboy, Jeff Brantley, talk a little bit about the Reds, talk a little bit about the Giants. That's coming up next. I had a sit down with him as we continue on the Extra Inning Postgame Show with Bill Laskey right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey keeps the postgame rolling live right here.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
On KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM. The sports leader.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Post-Game Show with Bill Laskey. I'm honored to have a guest back on with me for the show. Of course, he pitched with the San Francisco Giants for 6 years. He made the National League All-Star team in 1990. He is currently on the San Francisco Giants Wall of Fame. From there, he went over to the Cincinnati Reds and pitched for 4 years. Ended up being the Rolaids Relief Man Award winner in 1996 with 44 saves. Currently one of the broadcasters in his 19th year with the Cincinnati Reds. Let's bring in the Cowboy himself, Jeff Brantley. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Lask. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, buddy. It's a great time of the year. The 2025 baseball season is upon us. And, of course, in Cincinnati, they do it right. They shut down the schools. They have a great parade. Of course, like I said, this is the 19th year you've been watching this. Tell me a little bit about the history of the Reds.
Well, it's an amazing event to watch opening day, especially the way that the ballpark's configured around all the restaurants and bars downtown. It's just they close all the streets. Everything is kind of blockaded off, and it is just mass humanity as far as you can see. Everybody's wearing red. And you can see them as they come into the ballpark. I mean, when you're looking from the ballpark windows, it looks like you're looking at an ant bed that just got disturbed. I mean, it is just people everywhere. I mean, at one point, Phil Castellini, that runs our club, he put a zip line. Now, this has been a few years ago. He put a zip line down one of the main drags, and people were going back and forth. I mean, it's just like a big party. It is tremendous. And everything, as far as the Reds are concerned, everything was going right according to plan until Wilmer Flores stepped up there and hit a 3-run home run yesterday at the top of the night.
Yeah, that surprised us too here in the orange and black. Of course, with 2 outs, you end up giving up a walk and then a base hit by Chapman. And the next thing you know, Wilmer Flores comes up and wins the game. And it was an exciting time. But Hunter Green, what he can say about that? I mean, he had a great outing for the Reds.
Yeah, I thought both guys pitched pretty well. I know that Logan wasn't quite on his game as far as his command was concerned, but I still thought he pitched awfully well. It was a great game to watch for at least, and I mean, if you're a Giants fan, it was a great game to watch all the way around, but from a Reds perspective, it was a great game to watch until that 9th inning. I thought Hunter threw the ball awfully well. There's obviously some adrenaline and some nerves and all those things that go into pitching on opening day. So I don't know that either guy was in midseason form, but they look pretty close to it.
That voice you hear on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show, a broadcaster with the Cincinnati Reds, of course, a great Giant, and I mentioned that earlier on the Wall of Fame, Jeff Brantley. Let's talk about the leadership role. Terry Francona coming after a 1-year retirement, jumping back in after a great career with the Cleveland Indians and winning the World Series with the Boston Red Sox. What have you seen out of him with the new leader, new voice in that locker room?
I think just Tito is one of those very jovial guys. He likes to be around the players. He likes to have some fun, but he expects you to do things correctly. I think he's a stickler for fundamentals. I think that in his own way, he's a guy that can basically call you into the office. He can tell you how bad you've been, and yet you leave the office and you think, man, this guy loves me. And I think that's the greatest thing you can do as a manager is be able to right the ship, keep your guys going in the right direction, and they always feel like you love them. And he does that, and he's always been able to do that, and I think that's why he's a successful manager.
Jeff, let's talk about the Cincinnati Reds. What are the projections with this team, expectations? You've been around it through spring training. What have changed? What has really changed with the Reds for the 2025 season?
Well, I think going into last year at the same time, there were a lot of predictions that the Reds would win this and win that and put together a 90-plus win season. And then we had 4 or 5 guys that went down with some basically season-ending injuries. And I think coming out of spring training, we've got some guys that have nagging injuries, but I think every club has that. I mean, that's just part of spring camp. Really, no team comes out unscathed. It's just the way of baseball. But I think looking at this club, a lot of the key players are healthy. They're young, a lot of energy. The Reds have Matt McClain back at second base. They've got Christian Encarnacion-Strand playing first. Two young guys that they really thought were going to pick up the offense, especially from the right side of the plate last year, but they weren't able to play. McClain had shoulder surgery. Encarnacion-Strand had wrist surgery. And we missed a lot of the season from our center fielder and TJ Friedel. And that's really that's three guys in the top five of your lineup, and we didn't have them. And when you have a market, a small market club like the Reds, you just can't replace them. You can't just go out and just grab somebody else or make a trade. You've got to count on these young guys coming to fruition.
I want to talk to about two of them. Of course, Matt McClain, 25-year-old, was a shortstop, move over to second base. In 2021, he was the number 1 overall pick in the draft out of UCLA. And he said a couple nagging injuries, and it really ended up costing him the entire year. But he's a gamer. He's a guy that likes to compete. Watching a couple videos on him, he just wants to play and play every day, and he wants to win. And that was one of the things I saw in an interview with him. He just wants to compete, like I said, but at the same time wants to be a leader on that field. And he talks a lot about Elly De La Cruz being up the middle. And these are the guys you want on this field. And, of course, last year he wasn't there the whole year.
Yeah, I think for Matt, he had the shoulder issue in spring training, diving for a ball. He had to have shoulder surgery. So he never put on a big league uniform last year, never played in a game. And he was a guy that I think everyone had him penciled in to hit in the 2 or 3 spot. But it's a twofold situation for Matt, because he's a college player, does everything fundamentally correct, knows where to be and when to be there, swings the bat well, doesn't really have that thing where he feels too much pressure. He just plays the game in an easy way and seems to have some great success doing it. But where he makes his greatest, I guess, move for this ball club is that he and Elly have come up together. And Elly De La Cruz can do anything on a baseball field. When you've got a lot of media folks out there saying that he could be the first billion-dollar player, that ought to tell you all you need to know about De La Cruz, because he's ridiculous. But I think that having Matt sitting beside him at second base where De La Cruz is playing shortstop, they came up together. They seemed to kind of move like a wave together. And they've made some plays in spring training and then 2 years ago when they were both together up the middle that you think, man, they must be just reading each other's mind. But I think that's what happens when you have a great tandem up the middle that tend to move together, and they have great communication, and they have, probably most importantly, they have great respect for each other.
Jeff, I watch Elly De La Cruz, and of course you watch him daily. He's got so much ability, from stolen bases, the home run ball, and I think you said it the best. He could make the 2 greatest plays in the field and then boot an easy one. What is so difficult about him being so consistent? Because he seems to be more inconsistent than playing every day like a superstar.
Well, I think part of that is when you're 6'5" and you're playing the most critical position on the field, most of the guys that play shortstop are not that big. I think that getting used to the speed of the big league game as far as how the balls are hit to you, and continuing to have that micro focus on every single pitch, not just every at bat or maybe a ground ball here or there, but every single pitch that comes out of the pitcher's hand. And I think that just comes from maturity. I mean, he's just turned 23 years old, so he's one of the younger guys in the big leagues, even though he's been at the big league level. But I'm with you, Last. I mean, there are things that he can do that you rarely see done on a baseball field.
His ability to read the ball, his ability to make the plays, he's got a golden arm. Of course, every time he gets on first base, the whole crowd's waiting for him to steal bases. These are exceptional tools for a young player when you're looking at a 23-year-old kid, and I'm right there with you. He could be that billion-dollar baby.
Yeah, he's got a lot of talent. I think when you're around him, you get the sense that he wants to be great, but he doesn't have that big. He has great confidence. Make no mistake about that. But he doesn't have that that air of look at me, or just that indignation that you get from some players when they know that they're going to be good or they're getting a lot of media attention. I think Ellie's as humble as they come. He knows that he can be a great player. He continues to work at it. You see him in the cage a lot. You come out to the ballpark early, he's always out there taking early ground balls, working on double play feeds. I think he's gradually growing into that 6'5" frame, and it takes a while, especially when you're playing a premier position like shortstop and you're trying to play it at the big league level every day.
Another player I'd like to talk about, of course, he played with the LA Dodgers for many years, Gavin Lux. Where does he fit in this roster, and where does he fit in on the field? Where do you think he will gradually stay, and will he be in his lineup daily?
Well, I think the great thing about Gavin right now is he's got experience playing in the World Series. Matter of fact, I don't think he's ever played on a team, as far as his Dodger days goes, that he wasn't in the playoffs or in the World Series. So he's got a lot of experience in that situation. What he brings to the Reds is that veteran leadership, a guy that can play multiple positions. He can play second, he can play first, he's played some third, and we started him in left field on opening day. So it gives you an idea about where Terry Francona sees him moving forward. The one thing I do know is he's going to hit in the middle of our lineup. He hit cleanup on opening day. I don't know that he's going to stay at the cleanup spot because Austin Hayes was out, but I think for Gavin, he may not have one position that he's at every single day, but I know that he's going to be in the middle of our lineup, and that left-handed bat really translates whether it's a right-hander or a left-hander on the mound. He seems to handle that relatively easily.
Couple more questions with Jeff Brantley on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. Let's take a look at the National League Central, because I really believe the Reds have a great opportunity to win this division. Where do you think the Reds fit in when you're looking at the Cardinals, the Cubs, the Brewers, and the Pirates?
Well, I think that we have the pitching to win, and I don't say that lightly, and I can back that up by the numbers and the guys that are there. These guys are young. They should be able, for the first time, to be able to finish out the year and pitch in August and September. A lot of these guys have had some nicks and just really some growing pains of coming from the minor leagues, where now we really don't push our starting pitchers, and yet they throw 4 innings when they're in AAA, and yet when you get to the big leagues, they're asked to pitch 6 or 7. That's kind of nuts. But we're getting past that, and we've got some big arms, a lot of life, a lot of stuff. It's really refreshing to watch these guys pitch, because I think they understand the game, and I think that not only do we have just the starting 5 that we'll begin the season with, we've got 2 or 3 guys that will probably start the season in AAA that would very well make any other club at the big league level.
Jeff, I'd love to hear your opinion. Of course, Buster Posey now is the president of operations here in San Francisco, a big changeover. Of course, you've known Bob Melvin for many years. Give me your thoughts on what you think the Giants can do and what you've seen so far. Only one game, but, a whole different attitude.
Well, I think from a Giants perspective, when you talk about having a former player, especially someone of Buster's magnitude, that is now running the entire organization, it comes down to what it should come down to, and that's playing baseball. You eliminate all of these other things that are out there. You can use them, but it really just comes down to playing baseball. And what it comes down most importantly to is the 26 guys that you need that are the best players. They're the ones that are on that Giants roster. And I think when you have a player that is running the system, he's focused on winning today, not focused on 3 or 4 years from now. Well, I can bring this guy up and get him some value, and maybe I can trade him here or there. Buster doesn't care about that. You know what he wants to do? He wants the Giants in the World Series. That's why he's where he's at.
Great stuff again, Jeff Brantley. I appreciate your time. Looking forward to seeing you when the Reds come to San Francisco next week.
Enjoyed it, last.
Jeff Brantley on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
Your financial journey is unique, and Pettinelli Financial Partners is here to help you navigate it with confidence. So whether you're building your future or securing your retirement, their team provides lifelong personal guidance every step of the way. Start planning your financial journey today. Learn more at PettinelliFP.com. The financial consultants at Pettinelli Financial Partners are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratus Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratus Wealth Partners and Pettinelli Financial Partners are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Bill is back.
Fired up, bringing it, all excited.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Listen on your Google Home smart speaker by saying play KNBR.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Postgame Show with Bill Laskey as we finish up a Saturday. Giants lose today at Great America Ballpark 3-2, 3 runs, 8 hits for the Cincinnati Reds, 2 runs, 8 hits for the San Francisco Giants. Wilmer Flores hit his second home run in 2 games. Tomorrow at 10:40, first pitch right here with Dave Fleming and John Miller. Robbie Ray takes the hill for the Giants against Nick Martinez, and you'll hear that right here on KNBR. Extra Inning Postgame Show will follow that up. Got a great guest tomorrow. Saban Sabalas joins me for a nice interview. Of course, he had a great spring for the San Francisco Giants. I want to thank my producer, Kyle Haar, and Cole for picking up the calls. Got a lot of great energy from Giants fans today on phone calls. We'll do it again tomorrow. Jeff Brantley was my guest today. You can hear that on the All KNBR podcast if you happen to miss that interview. For Bill Laskey, be safe, be well. More coming up right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
It's another great outing for the righty on your home of San Francisco Giants baseball. This is KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.